All right, so we are in northern Portugal with UIVO Pet Nat Renegado. And we were actually just in, well, all over, all over Portugal a few weeks ago, hanging out with Savio Suarez, and we were able to go see Folias Baco, the winery there, and basically try all of the stuff, not specifically this vintage, but the upcoming vintages. So after we tried them, I was very excited about it, and wanted to bring in as much as we could, which was not very much, of the other wines that they had from these vintages so everyone could give them a try. So this one, like I said, it's a pet nat. It's the version of their Renegado. We have their still version of this as well, which is basically a mixture of all different types of native varietals in Portugal. I think it's like, they say 25, but I'm pretty sure it's like 25 of each. I think it's like 50 plus varietals total. And it's a co-ferment of the red and the white grapes together. So like, honestly, the color is still fairly dark because, again, some like Touriga Nacional, which I'm sure is one of the ones in there, like is very extracted. So that's pretty typical to see. But, you know, the assumption we can have from that is that it's going to probably have a lightness and freshness to it because that's a lot of white grapes as well. So a few other things before we get into it. So it is ancestral method, pet nat, of course. So they did not do a second disgorgement. They basically just waited until the wine had a decent amount of residual sugar left, not a ton. I don't know the exact amount when they did it. Put it in bottle, capped it, and that's where all the bubbles are coming from. So the rest of the fermentation happened in bottle, and that's how it became, you know, fizzy, sparkling. It's honestly pretty sparkling. So let's jump into that and look at it now. So I don't have it in a flute. It would also work in a flute, but honestly, I feel like this one works pretty well. I've just been sticking with my trusty Altos and trying not to break them lately. And it helps me actually get more of the notes from the nose off of it easier than in a flute. So it smells super bright, just generally, like the quality of it just feels very like bright and fresh. It's 2020, so it makes sense that it would still feel incredibly fresh. Mainly like red fruits, like this is like light red, fresh stuff on the top. But it also has like a floral note to it. And it's kind of like when wines are co-fermented like this with whites and reds, it can be really confusing to decipher. So basically anything you're thinking, you're probably not wrong because like it's so many different types of grapes in here and it's both red and white that there's probably a little bit of literally anything you can imagine. So yeah, so it's like, it's herbal, it's fresh, like, and it's again, like it seems complex and it is complex, but I think it's complex because it has so many grapes and so much going on with it versus because, you know, of any aging or specialty winemaking methods. Like this is still just supposed to be like a fresh, straight from the tank into your bottle wine. So all of that's coming from just the mixed match of grapes that are in here. So yeah, so it's like on the bottom, I don't know, it gets a little darker down here, like plums, but like bright red cherries, berries for sure. It just smells great. And it has decent bubbles on it. Honestly, let me just pour a little bit more to understand exactly what the bubbles are like because it's been a bit. So let's try it. That has amazing mouthfeel. So yeah, it's just like a wine of contradictions. It's really tough to comment on it because it's like, it's red and it's white and it's sparkling, but it's also like not crazy sparkling. Like the bubbles are definitely there, but they're not, you know, crazy to the point where it's tough to like smell it, like we said earlier. So generally, like the feeling is like, this is light, it's fresh, it's fun. And it's just like complex. Like there's so, let me just take another sip and just give you every single thing I'm thinking in that moment because it's so much. So. All right, so it's like, first I'm feeling like cranberries and then I'm feeling like super bright cherries. And then there's almost like this fresh little watermelon note to it. But then honestly, like towards the finish, that's where I'm feeling the white more. And I think it might just be because like they might be more acidic. Like then it goes into like very tart again, you know, starting with cherries, but then it moves into literally name it, lemons, limes, apples, oh, definitely no, it's not Granny Smith. No, yeah, Granny Smith, like the sour apple, like that is definitely there. So there's just all kinds of stuff going on. But as you kind of heard, I think I said herbal earlier, and it does have that, but for the most part, like this is a very fruit forward but complex wine, and that there's just a lot going on with it. So it's a really fun, very different style of sparkling. And as far as like pairings go, it's interesting because it's this co-ferment. So, and it has bubbles on it, which really just makes it like incredibly food friendly, because sparkling wines are almost the easiest wine, but they are, I would say, the easiest wine of all to pair. So that plus having some red grapes in it is going to make it great with most things you want to put it with. Basically anything that doesn't have like a ton of fat, basically, because like that's when you really want the tannin, and there's obviously no tannin here. But I could see you putting this with literally anything. Like you put it with a meze platter, you could put it with tapas, you could put it with pork, you could put it with chicken, you could put it with your Thanksgiving, you could put it with like literally anything. And something about this wine is going to speak to you with whatever you put it with. So that's why I think it's great for Thanksgiving. Obviously, we also really like it because we were just there, and I hope you enjoy.